Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. This is part of Star Wars Saturdays, an ongoing anthology campaign where every month I take a different RPG system, hack it, tweak it, reskin it so that we can play it in the setting of Star Wars, a galaxy far, far away. And I offer up these games to the Gauntlet, which is an online community of gamers who enjoy indie, small press, and OSR tabletop role playing games. We gather together, the folks who RSVP to that particular month's game, gather together, create characters, or bring back characters from previous games, and we tell a story together. We are finishing up. This is the last session of Thrilling Adventures with an exclamation point. Thrilling Adventures is a pulp adventure style RPG using the Apocalypse engines, was powered by the Apocalypse, which means we roll 2d6 and add a stat, and there's some really cool tweaks and aspects to PBTA games that I quite adore, so much that I made a podcast about it. We are in the final session. One of the cool things about Thrilling Adventures is that the play group all together creates an adventure journal, but I made it a adventure data pad because we're playing it in Star Wars, and together decided that the movie we are playing is The Theft of the Kyber Idol, a tale of danger and deceit. The crew of adventurers were united in an overwhelming need for fame and fortune. And before we introduce our characters, remind everybody we do have content tools, sometimes called safety tools, but I'm switching to the term of content tools. We have lines, which is a line against any particular type of content that we don't want in our story. We have veils. These are things that if they appear okay, but we're not going to shine a spotlight on it, we'll fade to black or do a quick star wipe away. Ask first. That means that if this is content, the situationally could be problematic for someone, we ask that before you as a player, and I am also a player in this, if you think, oh, I've got a cool idea, for example, about saying that the midichlorian count of this thing is very high. We have right now in this game, as in all Star Wars Saturdays games, we have an ask first on midichlorians. You would say, hey, everybody, speaking out of character, I have this idea about talking about midichlorian count. Is that cool? And any one person can say, can you try it a different way? And then you're obligated to do so. And if you're like, oh, that's the only idea I had, that's okay. Source it to the table. Well, I was trying to communicate this. I made a chlorian seem like it fit, but hey, I get it. Somebody's got that. And then someone could say it could be this or this, and we writers room it for a minute or two, and then we'll drop that into the fiction and we continue on with our play. On top of that layer of content control, we have the X card, which means for any reason, if your fun is gone, or if something really bothers you, you can say, hey, I need to X card this thing. I've seen people X card things all the way, aspects of a game all the way from a particular person's name, because it's the same name of someone that they knew and they didn't expect that. Like, how do you do a line on the name of X when you didn't realize that someone would throw out an NPC named X or Y? Totally cool, legit. You don't have to defend yourself if you X card a thing. The only thing I may do, I may ask for clarity's sake, just to understand what was X carded in case it's not clear to me. And friends, as you know, I was public school educated, so some things aren't immediately clear to me, and I have to ask clarifying questions. That is, I'm not going to, that question is just to understand what has been X carded, not to argue against it. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't even have to explain why you've X carded a thing. We're all adults. We're here to have a good time. Anything that harshes that fun time is not more important than the canon of our story. Hey, if Disney can say all of Star Wars books are now no longer canon, we can do the same thing, except we do it without having to pay billions of dollars. It's amazing what our imaginations can do. So, with all of that out of the way, Greg, who was with us for the first 2 sessions, unable to join us this weekend. We hope everything's a-okay with you, Greg. And Yui will be NPC'd by me, Yui being the droid character, the kid who had run around and had lots of fun adventures with us in the first 2 sessions. So let's go around the horn to introduce players and their characters. So just introduce yourself as a player and then tell us about your character. We're going to start from the left-hand side of the character keeper, heading towards the right, which means that Cody, you get to go first.
Hello, my name's Cody. I use the he, him pronouns. I'm playing a character named Khan, not Khan, but Khan. He's the thief playbook. He's a human. He's a bit of a safe cracker, a bit of a wise guy. More familiar with the underworld than perhaps Defshi and Jills, but he's just looking for the one big score, and maybe the Kyber Idol is it. Let's find out.
Indeed. Let us find out. In the middle is Sam.
Hi, my name's Sam. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm going to be playing Defshi, who uses he or they pronouns. Defshi is using the aristocrat playbook, but they are a young, kind of new money kind of character and doesn't really know what to do with all of this illicit drug money that they have garnered in the recent past, and are kind of just figuring things out. And so we are going to see if this heist of the Kyber Idol is enough to cement their position, or if they'll go tumbling back down to the lowly place where they started.
Oh my, a lowly place. Last but not least is Steven.
Hi, my name is Steven. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm playing Jill's Bib, whose pronouns are also he, him. Jill's is an Ithorian, which is the hammerhead from the cantina in A New Hope, and he is also a treasure hunter. And he moves a little bit slow, talks a little bit slow until the action starts, and then he can get a little bit fast at stuff. And he's very good at finding things and discovering secrets about objects. Yeah. And for him, it's more the thrill of the find, the thrill of the hunt, than it is about the wealth of the object that's left behind. Yeah.
In our last session, the crew had taken off on the Silver Dart 2, a big, clunky, light-class freighter. You'd flown. We got to have our little Indiana Jones homage, a bit of a pastiche to that, as we had a dotted red line as you headed to the planet of Stenos to find the moon of Stenos 3. The planet of Stenos 3 in the Stenos system, where you had heard rumors that it is a planet from whence none have returned. But being the bold and daring adventurers that you are, you continued onwards. And then suddenly you were caught in a maelstrom as the planet itself seemed unwilling to let go of you. Your systems quickly began to fail. Yui screamed out alarm because the ship was in the process of crashing. Khan, not Khan, but Khan, at the controls, with everything failing, you tried to bring her in the volcanic and harsh climate of Stenos 3, causing a gloom of smoke and ash. And so I'm curious, as the three of you were headed to this cliffhanger ending that we had at last session, what is the last flash when we do the previously on? What's the last flash of what each of you were doing before the crash? We'll start with our pilot, of course. Khan, what's the last flash that we saw before there's a hard cut that ended the last episode?
Khan is white knuckling the controls of the ship, trying to at least pull up, having been convinced and a little bit taunted into making this a good idea to approach this way, and just sweating profusely, and he says, "I never should have taken this job."
Nice. That is a great quote. Fantastic. And then what about our fellow adventurer, Defshi?
Defshi is like gripping onto the armrest and hyperventilates and passes out.
And then last but not least, our adventurous Jills.
So I think Jills is kind of standing there, sees that we're going down, kind of walks up and looks at Defshi, who just passed out, and kind of picks Defshi back up, clicks them back into the seat, so that there's a safety mesh, like a crash mesh around them, and then sits down in the seat next to them, fastens his seat belt and looks over at Khan, and then reaches over and fastens Khan's seatbelt too. Yeah. Like,
Nice.
oh yeah, this will be fine.
Oh, that's delightful. I love the very calm and collected, cool under pressure Jill's bib. And then we have a blackout sound of the crash. And then when the camera pans up, we see this long, like within the bush area where you guys had landed, around the equator where there is actual tree growth, even though the trees are a different, like ashy color. I think they're grays and browns. We see a long row of volcanic ash as the ship, the Silver Dart, had crash landed and skid along from all of the force. And there's a couple of flashes within the jungle of predators, of weird creatures. The soundscape changes as we see a bit of smoke curling up from the Silver Dart 2. And I think Jills, because Jills was so calm and cool, you are the first to regain consciousness. Maybe even never even passed out. What do you do?
Yeah, so I think I look around, I make sure everyone's appears to be breathing, not hurt. And I think I stand up and I start wandering around. I think Yui also was able to withstand things, and I'm like, Yui, do you think you can take a look around the ship and see what's needed to, what needs to be repaired, or because we're going to need to get off of this rock? And Jills will kind of walk around and start taking an inventory and being like, this will be useful, and putting stuff into like a little pouch, and I like this. So getting ready.
Yui says,
I think this ship is trashed, you guys. Look and see if maybe Leitu and I can fix her up, but there's a lot of information. I can fix it. It's fine. It's fine. Where's Dexy?
Were you asking me?
well, Yui was asking, so
Okay.
perhaps since Defshi was the first to pass out and was very carefully placed into
Okay, yeah.
belt, if you
No,
want to
I
wake
think-
up, you're welcome to.
I think that Defshi has probably woken up at this point and is getting out of the harness. I think it's kind of a struggle to get out of the harness, and my vision is that the whole ship is kind of on kilter to show that it's been crashed, and so all the cameras are twisted a little bit, and Defshi does the like Star Trek like leaning over and holding on to a console as they're climbing kind of sideways through the ship.
Nice.
It's like, oh, God, no. Come on, I just bought this ship. Been what, 4 days? Oh my God.
And Jill's is like, easy come, easy go. It got us where we needed to go. Hopefully it'll get us back off.
Nice.
Hopefully, and looks at Yui. This ship is gonna get us back off. No, I'm telling you, this ship is gonna get us back off.
Well, and Jill's turns to Yui and is like, the whole ship doesn't have to get us back off. If it's easier for you to repair just part, we're fine if we leave here in an escape pod. Just say it.
Okay.
And Yui and also Late 2 will begin work on making sure the ship is able to leave. So, Khan, you have, if I remember correctly from our adventure data pad, Defshi has the map. What am I saying? Defshi, you have a map.
I think, yeah, I know. I love the idea, like, because the map is in Yui right now.
Right.
So I think Defshi goes over to Yui and just puts his hand out and says, "You're gonna stay with the ship. I need it."
Aww. Okay.
And
little data, I think, like crystal pops out.
yeah, it's a little data crystal, and I think that maybe Defshi rummages around in a corner and pulls out a little box that is just like a little hollow projector,
Nice.
and like snaps the crystal in and hits a button on it, and the map kind of balloons out in front of the
It rotates
projector
just a
and
little bit.
yeah, taps it again. Like, okay, good, it works. Puts it in a bag.
Now, this map shows that you'll be taking a long journey. This is a move I have stolen from another game. Apologies to our wonderful game designer of Thrilling Adventures, because it is a very cool game, but I just super love this move, so I'm stolen it and stuck it in here because I thought it would be fun. A long journey is stolen from Fellowship, and the idea is a journey is the story of point A to point B. During a journey, each player tells us one event that happens along the way, starting with whomever you'd like. The director may frame the event by asking that player a question first, like, what did you find off the beaten path? Or what was really dangerous about this leg of the journey? Or who did you meet on the road? After someone describes the event, they choose another player at the table, and that player tells us how they handled the event, right? So each of you will be setting up the situation or the potential challenge or interesting moment. Another person will then pick it up and say how that was solved or avoided. Probably not avoided, because it's thrilling adventures. We got to be thrilling. And then another person will do an event. We go in rounds until everyone has described an event, and if possible, someone else has answered to that event. And I also get to throw one in as well, setting a scene during the journey, telling you adventurers unexpected complications that have made the journey harder. And then after every event has been resolved, you arrive at your destination. Cool?
May I toss something in before that?
Yes.
So I think when I was listening to Defshi, there's also a procure equipment transition
idea.
scene.
Yes, let's do that first.
Yeah, let's do that first, and it might be a good prompt for the long journey too.
Excellent. So will you and another character try to procure equipment? One of you rolls savvy. So who are you working with, Jills?
Oh, I think Defshi. Defshi was going through some stuff, pulled some stuff out of a box to get to the map.
Hmm. not a lot of savvy in this crew, so not you know 0 versus a 1. That's okay. Cool. So who's rolling savvy?
Why don't you
called
roll?
for it, so you can determine.
You initiated the move, so
I'll do that. I got an 11.
Goodness gracious, that's delightful. All right. On a 10 plus, describe the equipment you've procured and how it will grant you a +1 forward each time you use it in the next scene. And this scene won't be the journey because there's no die rolling in the journey.
How about if we make that a hold or, so many uses? Because I'm not sure what we would pick up.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Like 1 or 2?
At least 2, because I think the way that it's written says there should be multiple.
Okay.
I'm wondering if it's almost like when we get to the door, we'll just describe what the thing is, and then we'll do it as normal.
It'll be a little MacGuffin deal. A
Yeah.
bunch of wires or cable. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah, I love the imagery. It's like in this particular scene, I love the imagery of like there's a bunch of boxes in the storage bay that are all broken open and stuff, and we're going through and pulling out like ropes and like welding torches and spelunking gear and just like anything that we can fit into a bag.
So Rich, you said at least 2, just to make this even. How about we each have 1 hold?
3 uses. Excellent. Yeah. So we'll do it kind of that dungeon world idea of you now have adventure equipment, 3 uses. And each use gives you a +1 forward to the role in which you're using it. Fantastic. I love that supply montage. Nice. Cool. Let's move on. I am going to select Jill's for the first, if that's okay.
Yeah. So I think the first thing is the map shows that we've overshot the temple that we're supposed to go to, and so we have to backtrack. But the ship itself has driven this long trench into the ground, so we have to, it's safe enough to walk along the trench. It's sort of like a road's been made for us, but at some point we have to climb out. And that's where the dangerous part is, this trench is newly formed. It could be, the walls aren't really stable. And how about Khan? What do you do to overcome this?
Khan, being something of a master of balance, is able to pick his way up through the side of the trench, finding stones, larger stones that aren't going to shift with a little bit of weight on them, grabbing onto tree roots, and he's able to climb up over the edge of it and then toss down, a makeshift rope or length of material for to pull Jills and Defshi out of the trench.
Nice. We see like Khan, the muscles on his forearms flexing as he's helping Defshi and Jills make their way out. I like that. That's really cool. Defshi, what is the challenge or the event? What happens on the next leg of the journey once you guys get out of this trench and are making your way doubling back towards the treasure map? X marks the spot.
Yeah, so I think we're navigating through the this, you said it was like thick jungle, right? Yeah. So we're pushing past big ferns and trying to like go under these huge trees that are 10, 15 foot diameter. And as we're moving, we hear thum, thum, and we kind of see just the shadow of a huge something that is passing close to us, not necessarily right by us. Jills, how do we avoid it or either avoid it or get past it in some way?
Yeah, so I think as we're traveling along, we hear the thuds, we all kind of hunker down, and then Jill's realizes, we're in a rancor nest, and that thumping that we hear is like a mother patrolling around, like where its young would be. So we, you know, he's seen this kind of thing before, and they backtrack around and take a wide berth around this area because everybody knows you don't want to threaten a mother rancor. And he helps track around the problem area. Yeah.
Nice. I will jump in with the next complication. This is some time after the jungle has the hues of the plants have changed from that grays and browns to more of a green look, more of a traditional jungle, huge vine covered areas. The three of you have stopped at a point. One of you called a break, and maybe somebody needs to relieve themselves. Like you break apart, there's a moment where you're taking a breath, drinking some water, maybe eating a bite or two. And that's when Khan Khan solved one, Jill solved one. So I'm going to call on Defshi. Defshi, that's when you hear rustling in the leaves. You turn back and you see about a 5-foot tall baby rancor has followed you.
I think Defshi like jumps like and like kind of as the rancor head just like kind of pops out of the top of this bush and just whoa and falls on the ground and starts like crab scuttling backwards trying to get away from it. Guys, what is that? What?
I think Jill's
And
like, that's trouble, and kind of backs away.
okay, I think Defshi looks at it. It like it's doing like the baby kind of thing of like sniffing around and being curious. And so I think Defshi like looks down, grabs his like food sack and opens it up. It's
Looks
like
a
is
little bit like that.
uh it like opens it up. It's like are you looking for food? Is this what you want? And it kind of like looks up at us and I kind of like dump the food on the ground and like back away. It's like, okay, I think break's over. We need to go.
You need to get the hell away from the baby rancor. Yeah, that's probably wise. That's probably not the worst idea.
You don't want mom to show up.
No, you don't.
It's a very cute scene though.
Thank you. I think it eats the food and seems to quite enjoy the food. But those of us who know animals, which I think is all of us, it doesn't exactly discourage the behavior of when I follow them. They give me food. This seems like an appropriate reaction from Defshi, but perhaps is what we might call a mixed success, or maybe even a fail. Cool. So who's I jumped in there. Who's got our last event? I think it is you, Con, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Now, can I just ask a quick clarifying question? Will this last event end? The end of this event is us reaching point B by the kind of way
yes,
the
and
journey
I'll give you a picture of where you end up, and things will transition out of the journey.
Okay.
This is the picture of the point. So it is somewhat underground.
Perfect. Okay, that fits with what I was kind of imagining.
Oh yeah.
After a stretch of time in which Khan takes over trailblazing, only to burn up hours as he walks in the wrong direction. Defshi and Jill steal the map back, reorient themselves, and discover that they in fact passed right by where they should be heading. The only problem is where they should be heading appears to be on the other side of a great chasm.
And
Jill's
yeah.
treasure hunter extraordinaire. How do we get past this?
I think Jill's, is a little bit prepared for this and knows what it would take. And I think what we see, I think at the edge of this chasm, he looks around, they walk a little bit up and down, and then he says, there. And he takes your improvised kind of rope and tosses it up into one of the trees, and kind of pulls on it a little bit. And this is a tree on the opposite side, and then says, should be good enough, and swings across, and then weights it, and then throws the rope back to Defshi.
Defshi grabs the rope and I think forgets to, doesn't take the weight off, and so gets way too much momentum and slams into the wall on the other side.
Oh,
Has to Jill has to catch him.
Reach way down because
does make it across.
you're too low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the weight just kind of brings the rope right back to Khan.
Khan catches it, gets a grip on it, removes the weight, takes it off a little bit, swings, gets onto the other wall, not nearly as dynamic as entrance as Jill's, but grabs a hold of the wall nearby and is able to slowly climb to the side. I'm not much for climbing. This isn't really my bag, puts the weight back on it. Do we leave this here?
And I think Jill says we might need a quick escape, and sets it up so that there's a on the edge of the cavern wall, so we can grab a hold of it and swing out.
Oh, cool.
You're the
Cool,
expert.
cool. Perfect. Perfect work. Excellent. So as you've seen, there is a picture here. It tells 10,000 words, but I'll add a few my own. We see the three of you at the top of this matte painting, it's cut out, and we see you guys moving around, and then we cut into a closer shot of the three of you winding your way down. There's a rough-hewn path here, but it is quite overgrown. No one has disturbed this in many years, centuries, perhaps longer. You do notice, though, that this area has tiles. Some of them have moved over time and shifted, but there's also sources of light. These crystals here, as you move in a little closer, you see there are other crystals along, but among that, and we'll blow this up, you notice that there are odd creatures, these large hoods and narrow heads that look serpentine, that are fashioned around the crystals. You can see even one of them here. It seems to be a large motif for this particular temple or site. So I'm curious, who is taking the lead here? Jills, it seems like they're relying upon you. Do you continue in control?
Yeah. I think that, a savvy viewer realizes that Jill's might not be as comfortable, going forward, but he doesn't want anyone else to know that. He wants them all to feel confident that, yeah, we've got it fine. We're gonna handle this fine. Yeah.
Cool. I like it. So, as the three of you move deeper into the area, and we're not going to go to map type movements, friends. I just have some cool inspirational images, so don't worry. There are no secret doors you have to check for. That is not what this game's about. But I am curious, Jills, if you'd like to take a look around.
Yeah. So I'll do that. What is my savvy? My savvy 0. So let's see what I can get there. So that is a 3.
Okay.
But once per episode, whenever I fail a roll, I'm meant to do that. I can change the total to a 7 and describe how I barely succeed instead.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me look at the questions. So the 10 plus, ask 2, 7 and 9, ask 1. So I think what's going on is I'm looking around the cavern itself, and I think that's whenever I step on a pressure plate and we hear some movement.
Nice.
And I think what happens is this is an older temple, right?
Mm-hmm. Ancient.
Yeah. And I think what happens is the opening that we came through was a little bit, was where part of the temple had fallen apart. And we see that there's a big giant rock wall that closes behind us, but it kind of collapses because it doesn't fit into that hole anymore.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was like, oh yeah, I look around and I'm like, I meant to do that. And that's gonna say my question is what should I be on the lookout for? Other than like pressure plate traps. Yeah.
Other than pressure plate traps, what you should be on the lookout for, there are a couple of things. Sorry, the answer is 2 things. The first one is that while that initial descent into the area looked completely untouched, undisturbed for many, many years, you, Jills, pick up the telltale signs of activity here. You don't see footsteps, however. What you see are more like there's dust and there's a path in the dust of something that has trailed through, like sweeping something, perhaps. The other thing that you notice that you might want to be on the lookout for is that these crystals, they seem to be drawing from some kind of power. You actually hear the very low hum of electric power of some kind coursing through this place.
So I think I turned to the other 2 and I'm like, well, and I think we hear that big boom as the rock wall kind of falls, and I'm like, well, we know that they aren't happy with visitors, and we know that they still have power. And I point to the crystals themselves and kind of, look around. Something might be making this their home, and I point towards the little scuffles that we see where something recently has been through here. Or it could be that someone's beaten us here. We'll have to keep an eye out. I think I turned to Khan, and I'm like, Khan, do you think there's a way to trace these lights' power source back to the origin?
Well, assuming they work on some sort of grid system, some sort of circuit, it's possible, I guess. Let me take a step back. You think somebody beat us here and didn't step on traps? You're the treasure hunter? Sorry, I just had to clarify. Okay, anyways, you want to look for, let me see.
So, Rich, I have a quick question. The map that we have, did it lead us to the temple, or do we actually have a map of the temple itself?
You know what? I'll throw that to Defshi. This was your thing that you started with. Do you think it was an overland map?
I
or
definitely
2 tier?
remember talking about, oh yeah, like here's the map of the temple, and I don't know how to get past this first room. So
Mhm.
I think it's definitely like a
Right.
you pinch and zoom, like you tap on the thing and it zooms into the planet, and then you tap on the temple and it zooms into the temple. Um, and so I think Defshi's at that point, like he's like looking around. He's got this big, like wide-eyed child of like, oh my God, it's actually here. We're doing it. This is exciting. Even though he's covered in mud and like it drops the bag on the ground and ropes and pinions go spilling everywhere. But he's got the map out and he's like looking at it. It's like, oh look, that's the mural. That's the mural. It's right here.
And the mural, I think what that mural was, maybe it was perhaps difficult to see. It was just mentioned there was a mural. Is that you see a pair of figures that are facing off against each other in some kind of ritualized combat. They are carrying blazing swords. One is colored green, the other red. Khan,
I want to take a look. This mural kind of takes the vision a bit. Seeing these figures with these red and green beams. Khan, I think, wants to kind of try and answer Jill's question and see if there's any energy moving through this mural. Perhaps these beams seem to be illuminated in a truly spectacular fashion, and maybe if it leads to a central chamber, a power source. Khan's beginning to think perhaps this Kyber idol might be a battery. And so he's thinking maybe if he finds this circuit, he can get us through the rest of this temple.
Well, that sounds very interesting. Do you have a specific move of the thief variety you're trying to trigger? I don't think so.
Not at
Just
all.
checking.
No,
Awesome. So
I think I'm just looking around.
I think you need the information or clues. So let's
Yeah.
have you take a look around and roll plus savvy.
And my
again.
savvy is 1. That's right. I'm the best at this.
You're
I'm
the
so
most savvy among the crew.
Everyone bask in my greatness. All right, here we go. 2d6 plus 1.
Now, are you using any of your? Oh, sorry, it's fine. You already rolled. I was just going to ask, were you going to use any of the tools to give you that?
No.
Okay. Very smart answer.
Smart.
Since I see you've got an 8.
Yeah,
I should have asked quicker. It's all on me. It's all on me. Cool. 7 and 9. You get to ask a question.
All right. What's here is useful or valuable to me?
Absolutely. So you trace through just listening more than because it looks like whatever cables they've run were buried underneath, and but you do find that there is power in this mural, that odd glow that each of those laser swords have is because of the juice. And while this isn't the central nexus point, this mural seems to be the cover of it. Like if you can move this mural, perhaps you can get to what lies beyond, but it looks heavy, incredibly heavy.
I listening to the walls, my safe cracking skills gives me a good ear. So hearing the hum, I think start looking around. I think this can move. I think this can move. Do you see any control panels or mechanisms or dials or wheels or keys? You're muted, Rich.
Oh, goodness. I am. Con, you realize as you're describing to them all of these devices that, in a way, it's like you're getting into a safe here. Maybe you're the person who's meant to be in this moment.
Would we say that in imagining how to open this, that I might be perhaps safe schmafing right now?
We could say that.
We could say that. Okay, all right. So the thief has a move, safe schmafe. When attempting to pick a lock, open a safe, or perform some similar act of manual dexterity, roll plus quick. On a 7+, you succeed. On a 7 to 9, the director will give you an unintended consequence. On a miss, you've made things much worse. Great news. My quick is 1. Not that great. All right, let's try this out.
That's okay. I'll help you if you need it.
Yeah, okay. Woof. I gotta stop rolling so fast. I type and I get so excited, but I got a 9. I got a 9.
Would you like
Well-
some help?
Yeah, exactly. We could.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It's got to get thrilling.
Oh, you don't want the help, huh? Okay. You don't want that 10. Fantastic. Okay. So on safe schmafe on a 7 to 9, 7+ you succeed. On a 7 to 9, the director will give you an unintended consequence. So you find, while searching around, Con. Oh, you have an idea on how it opens? Why don't you tell us the idea on how it opens, and then I'll see if I can slide in a complication.
Sure. I think Khan, realizing what he's hearing, listening, he looks this mural, it depicts this ritualized combat, and there's been pressure plates. So he looks to the floor and he sees what looks like iconography and almost perhaps footprints on certain stones. Jill, step here. Defshi, you step here. Oh, hold on, let me get these two. And the 3 heroes do some sort of footwork that mimics a dance. And the 2 figures on the door, step apart, step forward, their laser swords clash, and then the door opens.
That is awesome. Here is the complication that I will add in. When the door opens, the movement of that door seems to unsettle some of the foundation. And it's one of those where you hear stone grind on stone. There's a lot of dust that comes down from above. We'll take a break, and we should break right now and see if Sam's able to rejoin us. So we're going to take a brief break, and hopefully Sam's able to rejoin us before you enter the door. Cool. We're back. So what had just happened was Cody described how Khan directed Jills and Defshi to step on particular pressure plates, and as a result, the 2 figures who were facing against each other moved closer, and then their sabers clashed, and that's when the door opened. When the door begins to move, you hear the sound of stone scraping on stone. The entirety of the cavern shakes just a little bit. There's a bunch of dust that comes down. I hate when that causes my green screen to go weird. Just very frustrating. But dust comes down on top of your heads. Maybe like Jill's, you have to wipe at your Athorian eye. And then Rich gets to show some more pics, which I will do so now. So looking through the doorway, you see more of the Rich will need to click the button twice. All right. You see there is definite growth here. There are more of these odd serpentine figures and the crystal lights. And then there are a set of steps. Those steps lead to an area that seems open to the air. You see sunlight coming down. Oh man, I just realized that. Okay, hold on. I gotta minimize this because I can't clip to my different tabs. That was a tech thing I didn't realize I'd have to solve for. Cool. So you've already stepped through there. Here. All right, we're back to where we were. There are steps. They look a little uneven over time. Some of them have broken and eroded. And as you move up here, you see that there is a raised platform area, and you definitely hear the hum of energy coming from this spot. You see these chains are connected, and there's something in the center there. Each of these chains connected to the mouth of some weird serpentine creature. Defshi, as you guys are entering this place and you're looking at the wonders that you have only dreamed of, what do you do?
Defshi is just looking around in awe at this moment. And I think Defshi is like doing the like looking up and wandering around and just like kind of ogling everything and not really watching where they step. And I think there's definitely a moment of uh like puts his foot down on the edge of a ledge and like has to like stumbles and has to it essentially falls backwards as rocks fall into this pit. But he's definitely like looking around, trying to see what's going on, and maybe accidentally stumbling into actual information.
Nice. Just to check in, were you triggering any kind of?
I did want to trigger take a look around.
Yes. Okay. Feel free to take a look around. I just wanted to see if there were any particular aristocrat moves or a cutscene that you wanted to initiate. So I would be happy to ask for a cutscene before you roll.
I don't think most of my aristocrat moves involve giving money to people. And
That's
so there's no
true.
people here. So yeah, roll plus savvy. My savvy is 0. I think I will use the tools and equipment. I think I'm like pulling out like almost like the Geiger counter looking things and like scanning and looking around. So I'm going to use that +1 here.
Perfect. Thank you for remembering. Now there are 2 left.
And good thing I did. That's a 10.
That pushes you to a 10. Perfect timing. On a 10 plus, you get to ask the director 2 from the list below.
I think the first thing that Defshi is interested in is what here is useful or valuable to me.
You nearly fall into the chasm below. It seems that this area is suspended. There's a lot of murky waters below. But as you get a closer look to that raised dais, you spot what looks like the Kyber idol, the trophy itself. Of course, it's in some kind of casing. And it appears that it may be part of this nexus of power, the engine that is driving all of the energy here. That would be useful or valuable to you, I would imagine.
Yeah, so like I can see the power conduits all kind of converging on this big dais. Okay, that's very cool. So she's definitely going to point that out to Khan and be like, hey, you've been following these. I think I found it. And the next question, I think we've got like this thing is pretty precarious, and so I think I've got a good handle on what I should be on the lookout for. But what here is not what it appears to be.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Defshi, as you are leading everyone along this area here to the last set of stairs, you start to crest to the top to see the odd, almost looks like a Ruping or a dragon, perhaps, of legend. Great dragon, perhaps a little bitty one, with these odd figures that are praying. You see that one of these serpentine statues are not perfectly still. It seems to be laying in wait.
I think Defshi does the thing of like pretends he doesn't notice it and then like looks back out of the corner of his eye like, is he gonna move? Is he gonna move again? I'm watching you this time. trying to bait it into thinking that I'm not paying attention.
And that's when you see the Vexus snake's eyes blink.
Okay, it's a real snake. Turns and kind of runs back to Jilson Khan. Okay, there's a big snake, big snake.
Oh, it's following you now. Just so we have a picture, this is what it looks like. It is extremely long, it slithers out of the way, and it is starting to come after you, Defshi. Now, as a reminder, when you act on the answers of take a look around, actually, it's not specific that you get a +1, but I'm going with the normal read a sitch type deal. So if you act on the answer that you had, you get a +1 forward on it. So what do you wish to do with a Vexus snake chasing after Defshi?
I think Defshi's kind of first thought here is to try and get out of the way. I don't think Defshi is like gonna try and like attack this thing. I think it's more of a get out of the way. Hopefully it like falls off into the water or something while it's looking for me.
Sounds like you're acting under pressure.
Yeah. So that is
Roll
with
with
quick. My quick is, I believe, a -1. Not very quick, and that's a 6.
Okay. Sweet. So I think what happens in swashbucklery fashion is that you are moving. Here, we'll just get back to our picture because you guys have gotten up here to this point. So what I'm imagining in my head here is maybe you move along the top here and you're coming across this vine, and then you get stuck, and now you're holding on to this. This is like 30 feet up. But the snake probably can't get to you, but you're holding on with your hands right onto the wire. It's one of those where you slip off and start to fall, and now you're barely holding on to this weird vine. The vine looks like at the end where it's like going through a couple of large stones, looks like it's slowly starting to pull free and loosen. There's dirt that's coming out, and yeah, that's where you're stuck. That's our hard move. Jill.
Ah!
Jill,
Help!
you're the adventurer here, right? You're the treasure hunter. You see the Vexus snake had given chase to Defshi, but they were able to get onto a vine, and the Vexus snake doesn't seem interested in getting on that vine either, and now it's going to probably turn its attention to you or Khan. What do you want to do, Jills?
Let's see. So I think what I'd want to do is I want to pull out my blaster pistol, and I'm not going to shoot the serpent itself. I think I'm going to shoot some of the crumbling area around it. So I think that still probably let him have it.
I think so.
Yeah.
You've got some options in there that could benefit you.
And my toughest 2. Let's see what that looks like. That's a 9.
A 9. Okay.
Okay.
On a hit, you inflict harm on your target, and your target chooses 1. I think that this thing is putting you in a bad spot, is what this Vexus snake wishes to do.
So like I said, I didn't actually directly hit the snake. I hit some of the cavern above it, and I think that starts to crumble down on top of the snake itself, and it takes a couple of glancing blows, and that's where the harm comes from.
Okay, I like that. So you're trying to prevent its further progress to chase after you. What it's going to do is put you in a bad spot. So I'm imagining that Jill's maybe you're right near the edge of that fall into the abyss that Defshi had narrowly avoided. And if this Vexus snake comes forward again, if it's able to get around or find a way to get back to you, then you'll have your back against the wall. Does that seem fair?
Yeah,
Bad
yeah, I
spot?
think that's
Okay,
I think that's fine.
cool. It
I
lets
think I'm
out. Mm,
narratively, I think I'm, in between the serpent and Deathsheet.
okay, I like that.
Just trying to, I'm placing myself in more danger. Yeah.
Awesome. Khan, you see that your two compatriots here are in a spot of trouble.
I think Khan wants to. What I want to do is run up one of these statues that are on this platform with us. I think he
Mhm.
wants to run up it a bit and try and force it over onto the snake, or at the
Oh,
very
wow.
least cause enough like commotion that it has to focus on that, and Defshi and Jills have a chance to get out of the front of it. Yeah.
Interesting. I want to see if you have the kind of balance needed to do this. Let us see if you are able to act under pressure, uh, performing a daring acrobatic maneuver of climbing up here.
Okay, acrobatic. Well, now hold on. So acting under pressure. Oh, it's quick. Okay, yeah. Of course.
Yep.
I should have realized. All right, my quick is +1. Ooh, here we go. 8.
An
So
8.
master of balance on a 7 and 9 treated as a 10, and it misses a 7.
So you push. Is this a thing like you climb up and then one of the columns and the statue, you're like in between it and you just.
I think it's actually, to make it more quick, more balanced. Like I think he runs and almost gets like a foot on the, like almost like he's gonna run and run up it. He runs 1 foot on the thing and the other foot and kind of like pushes off. Like he's putting his whole weight just to like, push the statue over.
Oh, that's wild. I like that. It's very acrobatic too. The thing falls over and you're trying to drop it onto the snake itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think with a 10 plus, you do the thing, it falls, it smashes into the back, like middle half of the Vexus snake. And so it tries to slither forward towards you, Jills, but is being held and pinned by the statue. Defshi, you see it's starting, the vine is still about to come loose. And I guess we'll see. Defshi, is there anything you want to do? I mean, you could try to just drop.
I had the image of like the pillar comes down, slams into the ground. Everybody's like kind of excited, and then the shaking causes the vine to come out from one end, and so I just go swinging and slam into the wall. I'm okay, and I have to like climb back up the vine back onto the platform.
I think it's fair if you take a harm from that. Like you get out of the terrible predicament of falling that far, but you still get slapped into a wall. So you will take.
That's absolutely fair.
Fantastic. You take 1 harm. You get 3 before you're injured, no longer able to continue. But after slapping against the base of that raised dais, you're able to rejoin Jills. As you see, this Vexus snake is still trying to reach after Jills, snapping its huge fanged maw. Remember, this is the Vexus snake in case, Rise of Skywalker, huge. He's got not just 2 fangs, but like multiple odd fangs. Yeah, it's got a heck of a maw.
Yeah, I think Defshi's pulled out his little dinky blaster pistol and is like, I guess this works. And is going to run up and join Jills and try and like put up a stand against this thing, I guess. I don't, what do we do? We like,
it's trapped. Why don't we get out of here? We can, the thing's over here somewhere. It's trapped for a minute. Let's just go.
I like that plan.
Yep.
Let's get out of here.
We'll
So,
worry about it on our way back. It's fine.
Cool. So in my head canon, and actually I have a picture, so maybe it's 1,000 words. So there you go. In my head canon, the two of you are down here. The snake got halfway down the stairs before maybe the snake idol pinned it. So the two of you, Defshi and Jills, are on this area, and Khan's up top because you had to push the statue down. So just so I have the placement without doing map combat, I just did map combat. I said I wouldn't, but I did. I'm a liar. It's terrible. Take some XP. Cool. So with that in mind, Defshi and Jills, if the two of you want to get around, you could probably scurry up that vine that Defshi was on. Like if you can climb up the vine, you can get to the side of the dais without having to deal with a Vexus snake.
yeah, I think that probably makes sense that Defshi did climb up the vine to get to the top of the dais.
Okay. Sure.
Instead of going down. So maybe Defshi and Khan will go together and get the idol while Jills is kind of keeping the snake distracted in the direction.
Are you okay with that, Steven?
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, do you both continue? Khan and Defshi continue on, and let's see here. Yeah, I think I was just double checking. Yeah, cool. So you two continue here up the stairs here to approach this odd dragon idol. You see in its mouth is the trophy, the Kyber trophy, the legendary thing upon which you have rested your Kyber idol, and you have the housing. So Khan, this is your whole thing, right? This is what you're good
Well,
at.
I feel a little bad, Jill should be here to steal treasure from the grave, but I'm a safe cracker. I do things a little bit differently. I think it's not quite a simple pickpocket. There's no pocket to be picked, but I think I think it doesn't look trapped. It doesn't look, I mean, I don't know traps. It doesn't look like a safe. So it looks like something I just grab and take, and Jills is getting pinned down by a serpent. So I think Khan goes right to it. He doesn't let Defshi get close. He's like, oh, I got this. Like, I could get. And he climbs up, reaches in, grabs the Kyber idol, pulls it out.
I think you were leaning towards the move that I would like to see here. We'll go a little, again, borrowing from some of the sources for thrilling adventures, as you need to, what's yours is mine. Can you quickly fetch the Kyber idol without whatever pressure plate trap might be underneath it? Recognizing.
Right. Now, I have equipment. We've prepared. If there's anything I've heard and seen in those hollows, it's that when you take a piece of treasure from a temple, you got to leave something there that's of about similar size. The piece of equipment that I brought is scrap metal that I checked to make sure fit at about the same size as the casing. And so that's what I'm going to do. I have just a hunk of metal from a console that broke apart in the crash, and I'm going to try and swap it out.
Oh, love it. So you're getting a +1 because you're using this, I believe it's the second of your adventurer's tools, right? Second of 3. So you get a +1 on this roll, and you are rolling. What's yours is mine. Roll plus quick. Your quick is a +1, so you're rolling +2.
All right, here we go. 10.
Nice.
Love a +2. Love a +2.
That is nice. So on what's yours is mine, on 10+, your target suspects nothing. You quickly swap the scrap metal with the idol. Defshi, what does this idol look like? Does it look like a person, a being? Is it some kind of scripture that's written onto it?
I feel like it's a the whole statue is not made out of kyber crystal. I feel like it is a statue of a robed figure who is very intricately carved, probably out of like polished marble. It's this very short little marble statue, and it's holding in its hands a kind of pulsing kyber crystal.
Nice.
And we have to kind of like get this. It's easy to get the statue off, but eventually we're going to have to try and like extract the crystal from its statue and put it into the new housing.
Awesome. So, Jills, you're still keeping the Vexus snake's attention. It's at this point about to give up and go back to try to reach the others. What do? Do you just let it go, or are you going to try something?
So I think what I do is the way I've been trying to fend it off is it's trying to get out from underneath the rubble in the statue. And as it tries to go one way, I dump more rubble or I push the rubble that's on it, to block its path. So I think
Okay.
that's what I'm doing is I'm just blocking its path as it tries to go towards the others and, snake around, go around and yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Tastes just as good. Awesome. All three of you notice that after Khan has pulled the idol from its housing, placed the scrap metal in, you hear chunk, 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 and then the power just and all the crystals they start to dim, and you still have the sunlight above you, but around the edges of where the sunlight touches has gotten very, very dark. We'll say that, Jills, you can slip around and rejoin Defshi and Khan at this point. The Vexus is pretty well trapped, and perhaps it's going to try to chew its trapped half to get away. But now it's not worried about you guys.
Okay, we gotta go. I don't like the fact that everything's shutting down. I don't I think Defshi is kind of like doesn't really know what to do. Didn't think that they would get this far, and is just kind of like floundering a little bit. But does like put the idol in the like bag that we brought to carry it, and is gonna look back and like, well, how do we get back around the snake again?
And I think that's whenever Jill steps forward. Did you have an idea, Con?
Nope. I was gonna just jump.
Oh. I think that's when Jill steps forward and says, "I've got this," and he pulls out, from his pack, a grappling hook, like what we've seen before. And if I'm not mistaken, Rich, on that picture you had, there's like a lattice work that's leading up.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, you can absolutely climb out of here if that's
Yeah.
a thing that you are daring enough to do.
I think that's the plan. Is he pulls out that grappling hook and throws it up to like one of the lower lattices so that we can go up that way. And then once he gets up there, he's going to detach that grappling. He's going to pull that head off and pull, from the wire that he has, and reach in and use some of the scrap equipment that he got, rope or wire or something like that, and tie that and keep going up. Using the grappling hook to secure this wire so he can get up there, and then he'll tie it off and keep going.
Cool. I think let's put this to a roll, but not a series of rolls. Like, I just want to see if you encounter any troubles on your way up, or if you're able to get through it. I'm imagining something along the line. Oh shoot, I've been playing too much Blaze in the Dark. Because part of me wants to make it a group action where one person leads, but that doesn't exactly work in this game. So I'm going to stop hacking it and just say we will have you. Yeah. Act under pressure.
So how about if we make this twofold?
Okay.
I have a move that I don't think I've used before called Here Goes Nothing. Describe how you'll put together the perfect stunt that would make an otherwise seemingly impossible action successful, and roll with instinct. On a 7+, take +2 forward. But there's a worse outcome on a 7 to 9. And on a miss, you can take -2 forward. I was going to say, why don't I do that and have someone else roll the act under pressure with my bonus?
Neat.
So this is us working together.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
That way, it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of a group action.
Yeah,
So I'm
perfect
going to roll
use.
with my instinct, and this is the, here goes nothing. Let's see if I can't grapple things. Oh, that's a 6. So that's -2 forward.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. All right. So because we're making this like a connected action, let's have the next person roll.
I think the like Jill's kind of like slams us into the wall. Defshi like is like fumbling around in a bag trying to pull out the map, and like clicks the map open, and it's like
Oh, hold on.
jittery and not quite working.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we go back just a second? I
Oh, yeah.
narrated that I used the extra equipment,
Oh,
but I
that
didn't
would have
add
been
that
a
into my roll.
7.
Yeah.
Okay, on a 7+, then you'll take a +2 forward for the next appropriate move. So cool.
But something bad happens.
Yes. Oh, don't worry. I've got
Yeah.
that.
Okay, good. Okay.
It does not
So
change
anyway,
when something bad happens.
so I didn't hose anyone. I didn't hose the next person completely. Yeah.
Cool. So Defshi,
Yeah.
back to you. You were pulling out the map, I think.
Yeah, I pulled out the map, and I think I'm directing Khan, and I'm gonna help and try and give you a +1 on getting us out of here.
Nice.
And it's the like clicking the thing, and it's jittery and shaking as all the power is running out of this place, and electromagnetic fields are going all over. So I'm gonna lend a hand, and roll plus instinct, which I'm actually good at.
You are a good helper. Mechanically
speaking.
That's an 11.
Oh, very mechanically speaking. Look at you.
Wow. I think that means you have a +3 on this roll.
But something bad is going to
Oh,
happen.
yeah. Something bad's going to happen. It's not good.
From Jill's.
So wait, I have a +3 on this roll?
You have a +1 from Defshi's help. You have a +2 from Jill's setup for the whole maneuver with Here Goes Nothing. And now you get to roll to act under pressure, which for you is a +1, right?
So I'm rolling +4.
Oh my goodness.
This can't go wrong, could it? Oh, all right, a 9. Honestly, you when it's so robust in your favor, you want to see it get, you want to hit Snake Eyes.
I want you to get like a 15. That's what I want.
Oh, or yeah, that'd be nice too.
That'd be nice too. So the 7 to 9 on the act under pressure, the director gives you a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay.
Now, is this? Would you describe what we're doing as an acrobatic maneuver? Because if so, a 7 and a 9 for me is technically a 10. I am a master of balance after all. Check the sheet.
It is. So other than the bad thing happening from the original setup, I think that ends up becoming a 10. It doesn't become worse. I was going to give some party harm to you, but you guys just narrowly avoid the party harm because of Khan's acrobatic ability. He just doesn't look that acrobatic, but magically he is. The three of you working together, hand over mossy, rocky cliff. You climb up, you eventually reach the top here. All three of you tired, muscles aching, covered in sweat. And then as you're all three laying in this grassy area, you look up at the sun and you see standing over you are several people that you recognize. They are all Zygarians. Among them is Masasha Sen, who has her electric whip. And they have their guns out and pointed at the lot of you. And Masasha Sen says, "Thank you all so very much. I'll take the idol now, Defshi." She holds out her hand. "What do you do?"
I think Defshi kind of like uh tries to get up, and like his arm is shaking and collapses back down, ends up kind of turning into a low seat and just sighs. It's like, I thought you were better than this. Like, you can't give me one thing every time. Every time.
Oh,
And Defshi's gonna like reach for the bag.
okay. Well, Masasha Sen thinks that you are not foolish enough to trick her or fight her. So she says, "I nearly had a change of heart there, Defshi. I was tempted to give you this one thing, but unfortunately, this one thing is what I was sent to retrieve." Tosley says, "To take it from you. Sorry. Nothing personal."
And Defshi's gonna pull out the idol and just hold it in front of him and say, I genuinely tried to help the pack. And this is how I'm repaid. With backstabbing, tosses it over, deceit, lies. Is this all you know how to do? And Defshi's gonna look at all the other Zygarians, and is this somebody you want leading you, who will just take your accomplishments? And I'm gonna use my showstopper move.
Oh,
When a scene is getting dangerous, I can give a signal to all of the minions who suddenly cease hostilities and instead turn against the villain.
they're on my payroll.
They're on my payroll.
Didn't you know? Oh, that's awesome. Masasha Sen does not recognize this signal because she's not on your payroll, right? Like,
I think this is more of like a moral payroll at this point, and it's like a guys, you're like, Mashaya, you accomplished a thing the other day, and they took all the credit. Like, what is this?
nice. And they all turn their guns on Masasha Sen. We'll say there are like 4 of them here. And she's holding the idol and she looks around. On second thought, she steps forward and hands you the idol.
Tosley will get her cut. I promise.
Your comm unit, Jill's, beeps. "Hey, I have good news and less than good news.
Yeah.
The good news is that whatever was trapping us here on the planet seems to be gone. The bad news is the ship still isn't fixed. I think the escape pod might work, but it will be tight."
That sounds, we'll just have to see what we can work out.
I think we
I
can figure
turned
it
to
out.
I turned to Defshi and I was like, "Are we gonna leave the ship here? It's your
Yes.
ship."
I'll have to come back with some salvage crews or something, but looks at the idol. I guess we can always buy a new ship.
So, yeah, you have a couple of choices. You can go back to the Silver Dart 2, take the escape pod out, but then you got to figure out something to do with Masasha Sen and her people. Or since they're on your payroll, you leave the Silver Dart in its entirety, pick up Yui and Late 2, and fly off on a Zygarian ship.
I like the like, all right. So about what I said earlier, I do need your help. How about I give you 3% and you fly us out of here? And that's on top of Tosley's cut.
Nice. I like it. It feels to me like this might be a good spot to move to epilogues. Because I'm really curious about where the epilogue goes. And the first question I have is, Defshi, you have the trophy, you have the idol, you have a Zygarian ship and a crew that's working for you. Do you return to Spaceport Trident Vespa? Do you bring it back to Tosley like the good, loyal member?
Oh, I never promised Tosley that I would give them the idol. They get a cut of the profits. And so I think that there is like a scene maybe with Jill's of like auctioning off this idol, and it's very like it's the idol and not the crystal. Like in the auction house, it's just this very beautiful like ancient this ancient Jedi idol or something like that. Or there's some Imperial spy network that buys it off of us for a high price or something. I honestly like that. Like, so we sell it to some Imperials that are looking for old Jedi relics, not telling them that we've kept the idol, the actual Kyber crystal, for ourselves. And so there's a couple of scenes. Defshi hands over the money to Tosley, who's like, okay, this wasn't as much as I thought it would be, but it's a solid return and get some extra standing with the Zygarians. And then there's a short scene later on Defshi's new ship that is beautiful and sleek as they take the crystal out of their pocket, put it into the holocron, and another map of the galaxy comes out, and he rubs his hands.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. What about for Khan? What do we see as our epilogue for Khan?
For Khan, if I may work this move in somewhere, the stakes are high and I need to take something. And inexplicably, when that idol would be its most important to Defshi and perhaps to Jill's, they can't seem to find it anywhere. Khan is elsewhere, wandering off down an alley to go sell it himself. This is the biggest score I ever got.
You bastard. Cool. What about Jill's?
So I think I think that Jill's is there with the idol and pulls out like a little reader thing, a little data pad, and scans it. And I think that on the cape of the figure that's in the idol, there's a design on that cape, and he scans that, pulls it out, and then flattens it out, and it's sort of a map that's associated with it, but it's not very clear until he's, I think, passing by Defshi's uh quarters and sees like Defshi has, activated the Kyber crystal with like a map, and I think that Jill steps in and says, "Oh, look, they overlay," and kind of sets things up. And there's like it's not a missing piece, but it's sort of like this is a path correction. It's sort of yeah. It's sort of like, when we hold the map up and you see it through the moonlight and there's another piece. Yeah.
I love it. That is cool. And so Jill's and Defshi look like they have set up another adventure, and Khan went back to his thieving ways. Fun. Cool. Well, anything else? Are we good to bring the Thrilling Adventures game to a close?
Mhm.
Thank you
I think
all
so.
so much for playing Thrilling Adventures with me. 3 solid sessions. We told a movie. I am curious, since this does actually have an end of game. Who was our hero of the day?
Oh, I think that was Defshi with the negotiation with Masha.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think
such a
that
great
showstopper right at
showstopper.
the end was
That
so
was pretty great. I
Yeah.
completely agree. Awesome. Huh. Okay. Well, let's just do a last bit, a little bit of stars, and I think I'm like, rather than wishes, just thoughts about Thrilling Adventures, because I know that Micaiah has watched these videos, and hopefully he'll get a chance to watch the last one. And just feedback from you guys first time going through a movie. Apologies on the top that I like wedged in and removed from another game, but I remember reading recently in Indie Game Reading Club where Paul talked about the journey from Fellowship and how fun it was, and I quite enjoyed that. So, and I just didn't see anything in Thrilling Adventures that did that thing, because I don't think it's necessarily about that travel per se. So, apologies for that. Let's start with wishes so we can end with stars. Wishes, feedback on the system, or feedback from me for running this next time around. Who'd like to go first with wishes?
I'll jump in. I'll start. Feedback for the system. I think real quick, Rich, I think adding that journey move is actually really sick. I think it totally mimics the idea of the red dotted line going across the map. Like, that's something like that is I think really, really clutch. Sorry, that's a bit of a star. I think maybe having more director, since the person running the game is called the director, maybe having more tools for you to, more levers for you to, not saying that you want this, but I could see having more tools for the director if it was almost like a playbook for themselves. Like
Oh,
what was the game we played? It was like it's like everything's speed based and miles per hour. You remember what game was that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was Wild Game. I will find it. Yes, where
Yeah,
you
like
play.
one
There's
player will
one
take
person.
one person takes the scene, and then one person's the environment, and in doing that, everybody has
Trouble for
different
Hire.
Trouble for Hire. Yes, everybody has different kind of levers and buttons and pedals that they can press to make things happen in the scene. I think it'd be cool, since the role is called the director, if the director had more power than just a standard game master, even though game master has all the power, supposedly having something really mechanized, I think would be very interesting for that. So that's
Yeah.
long-winded answer.
No, I like that. Like the rude interruption. I just jumped to the character keeper for it. Like, you can do a cutaway, and yeah, there's that. I think that's a really cool suggestion. Interesting stuff. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate that. Who'd like to go next with
I can hop
feedback?
in.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with the system. It really does very much feel like the pulpy adventure that Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and it does a very good job of that. The one kind of hiccup that I had, so before I get into that, I recognize the comment that I made about the coin earlier, and that never came up, and it was not a big deal. And I'm taking that back. That the amount of cash that the aristocrat gets is more than enough, and that's fine. And running out of cash is an interesting thing to have happen. So the one thing that I did have during this session that was kind of a hiccup was the difference of when to use take a look around versus I've got a bad feeling about this. Because I had that moment where I was like looking around through the dangerous area, and that like looking now at the questions, I think that was more of I've got a bad feeling about this because it's the I'm in a bad situation but don't know it yet move.
Yeah.
Versus take a look around is we need to figure out where to go next, and we're going to go somewhere else.
That's a really good point. And I actually, like, once I saw take a look around, my brain just like fixated on, oh, this is the one to get info.
Yeah.
And I could have and should have called for that move. I've got a bad feeling about this because it's so Star Warsy and it is more useful for a couple of the situations.
So I noticed
It's
whenever I
really-
looked through that, I've got a bad feeling about this. I noticed that 2 or 3 of the questions all revolve around interacting with a person. So I felt the same way.
I mean, take a look around also has who's really in control here,
Mhm.
which is kind of another. I think those are just there to be like, hey, you can use this in social situations.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it definitely felt like that was more of a I've got a bad feeling about this moment, and I didn't recognize that at the time, and I looked at it like 10 minutes later, and I was like, oh, yeah, there's a bit of a missed opportunity there. But
well, thank you for bringing that up. That's good for me for next time. I'll be reeling.
I think even just like a little disclaimer, because I know some games do this now where they'll have the name of the move and then like a couple words in italics of like when you're supposed to use that move.
Oh, interesting.
So there'll be I know Dan Brown does this a lot where it'll be like act under pressure, escaping dangerous activities and blah 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 blah. It'll just be like 3 sentences, like 3 words or some short of like here's a typical time in the narrative when you'll be using this. And so I've got a bad feeling about this would be like dangerous situations, trouble brewing or something like that. And then take a look around is hunting for clues. And so it just kind of gives you a real quick idea of here's where the issue here's the type of scenes where this move gets used.
Can I propose something?
Yeah.
What if the name of the move was take a look around for clues? Would
Or
that
like
be enough of a
look
distinction?
for information or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool. That's helpful. That'll help me when I run this again. Thank you.
But I mean, both of them mechanically, both of the moves felt good. They're pretty standard PBTA ask a couple of questions moves, but just knowing when to use which one.
It's also interesting. I like that you brought that up, Sam. One of them uses savvy and one of them uses instinct. So one of them is you're trying to smart your way through it, and the other one is you're trying to, intuit your way through it.
Yeah, like savvy is very much I'm consciously looking for information, and I've got a bad feeling about this is just like that itch in the back of your head of like something's going wrong.
That's really cool. That's good. Good feedback, Sam. Like, you should write games or something. You just know this stuff. Awesome. Steven patiently waited.
Sort of. I chimed in all the time. So the thing whenever I looked through the playbooks for this game, I felt like it worked really, really well. When I looked through the playbooks for these games, it seemed like there were a lot of moves that were like turn a fail into a hit, turn a 7 to 9 into a 10 plus. No, it didn't really happen that way. And I saw that motif kind of repeated through a lot of the moves.
Mm-hmm.
And it concerned me. But I think that's one of the ways that the mechanics pull off the pulpy feeling, right?
Is the
Is
skin of your teeth feel that if you
Yeah.
didn't have that move, you would have failed? Oh, that's
I think that's
interesting.
exactly right. I think it's, oh, I almost failed. I slipped just a little bit, but here's how I got my, bacon out of the fire. The only issue there is this is XP on a miss, right?
I think it is. I thought it was XP on. Hold on. I
Okay.
thought it was just XP at end of episode.
Okay, because there's end of episode.
No, whenever you roll and get a
Whenever
total
you
of
see
6 or less.
Thank you. Yeah. So
Okay.
you guys actually earned more XP. Sorry.
Well,
but anyway, go on with your thoughts.
I don't
Steven,
know
I'm
that
sorry.
we missed.
Oh, that's right. Every time you guys missed, you like pulled it out of the fire with help and stuff.
Which is
No,
what I was going to say
I definitely
was.
rolled a
Oh,
miss,
you rolled a
escaping
3.
the snake.
Oh, true.
That's right.
Okay. But anyway,
But I was going to say,
your point.
with those abilities, it means you get less XP.
Mm-hmm.
And that does seem to draw a little bit away from the pulpiness. You want to see your character, pull out that new move or something like that in a pulp adventure. But I know you had us level at some point, and that makes sense. So that's the thing that kind of got to me was that, you have a move that will help you succeed, but that means you have less XP, which means you don't get that extra move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a really good.
So
that's a really good observation.
I will point out something that's very nitpicky and mechanical about this. The experience thing does not say when you fail. It just says when you roll a 6 or less.
Oh,
and the other moves say treat a 6 as a success. So you still roll a 6, but you get experience and succeed.
That's really interesting.
That's really cool. And so that fixes the problem that I just said, which means you got XP for doing something super cool and pulling your bacon out of the fire, right? That's really cool. I like that.
Thank you for pointing that out, Sam. I'm telling you, why don't you apply this knowledge to actually? I'm sorry, I'll stop with the joke. It was funny the first time, Rich. Cool. Anything else, Steven?
No, I think that's it.
I will say, like, my wish is I wish more. Like, I'm so happy we had a showstopper move. I'm so happy. I had to push kind of hard, like, put you guys in a pretty dire situation for that move to be ready. Like, I was ready to just take the fucking island away from you. But like, I wish there were more cutscenes. Like, maybe I just need to ask for a cutscene more. Like, I think I just got to push for it. That's more like notes to me and just talking out loud. But I loved the cutscenes we had in sessions 1 and 2. And I almost made you throw one out for Con, Cody. And I really regret that I didn't just say, no, you got to do a cutscene. You want to do this cool thing, you got to do a cutscene. And I think maybe that's just like a mental note for me, the cutscene thing. And also the transition scenes, I think, are neat. But I've got to make space for them more. I don't know. Like, they're very specific. Like, talk with a contact. You guys landed on a planet. There's no contact to talk to. Search for information. You had a map, and it just felt like, maybe I don't know. I love that you guys triggered procure equipment. Thank you very much for that. I thought that was a fun result that we cooked up together with the adventurer's tools, and nobody had taken a lot of damage so yeah, maybe it's not so bad. It's just one of those, like, it's a thing out there. I want to do it.
If I can hop in, I didn't necessarily feel that way because the last session we had a bunch of transition scenes during the travel, and this session felt like coming off of all of those. So I didn't necessarily feel like we were missing that as much.
That's a really good thought. That makes sense. Last question.
As far as your cutscenes, The move that I took before the session was, this reminds me of the time once per episode when you could make the basic move. I've got a bad feeling about this. Narrate a cutscene that reminds you of it and take an automatic 10.
Oh, that's
I was pushing.
awesome.
I was pushing the same thing. Was, let's get a cutscene in here, and it was good because it kept me focused on my cutscenes. But I think if we had another session, you would have seen that come into play. So I think some of
That
the
would be
moves do
cool.
push you towards making more cutscenes other than the basic moves, and that's good.
Yeah, cool. And then the last question before we go to stars. What were your feelings around individual harm and party harm? Did you like having a party harm? Did it make any like emotional or narrative impact for you guys? What were your thoughts on that one?
I liked having party harm as a concept, because sometimes it does feel like there's, there should be fallout that isn't on a single person, for things. So I think having that option is there. I do think with all of the ability to roll misses and treat them as mixed successes, all the different ways, it felt like we didn't really have a lot of bad moves coming our way. And
Mhm.
so like I didn't realize at the end of our second session, I gained an advance. So I took a second advance this morning before our session, and it was walk it off. So when you take 3 harm, you can
I saw
still get
that.
through the scene. I never took harm, so it was like, it felt like it's one of those tough things where I think PBTA games often are like, well, when you roll bad things will happen to you, but the person running the game, the storyteller, the game master, the director, won't just make bad things happen to you. And that's fine, but then we have to be able to fail rolls, and it seems like we never had to fail a roll if we didn't want to, which just kind of, I totally agree with Steven's point about, saving your bacon, is very much the pulpy thrilling thing. And that's what pulps are. Pulps, the heroes never die, they never lose, they come back next month when the writer
Yeah,
needs
all
more
their
money.
wounds are cosmetic and make them look
So
sexier.
yeah, it's tough to like walk a line of like, well, we should be failing. Yeah, we should be getting cut. We're Doc Savage. Our shirts should be getting torn, and you just see our rippling abs. Like, but it didn't come up that often. So I don't know that I like having those options. Just need to.
Let me riff on that. So number one, party harm for me was a little bit disconnected, and I think that's because in the character keeper it was on a different sheet. I would have liked to have seen it beneath my harm, saying, and this is the level of party harm.
Oh, that's a really good piece of keeper design feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing is that Cody mentioned, harm didn't seem to happen too much. Like, I didn't realize it until we were talking now, but boy, it sure would have been good for the crash to have been party harm. Right? And I was like, maybe in a pulpy situation, you're not as worried about harm because in the next serial we'll see the hero come back. Maybe you're worried about heat. And that gives, like, with that amount of heat, it gives if you had 2-party heat, for example, it gives the director a chance to introduce more bad guys, more threat or something like that, because you've gotten up to that level of heat. Does that make sense? Yeah.
That got me thinking, because if this is all speculative, that was a great session, don't take any of this the wrong way, but if we had a party harm from the crash, that would have put us at 3 out of 4, and that's immediately like you take one more, the really bad things happen, and that probably would have prompted somebody to heal up before we leave the ship, and then we get into more cutscenes, and there's a lot of interlocking things that happen there in terms of.
You're absolutely right.
When you're right on the cusp of the party falling apart.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I actually considered party harm as part of the crash, but it felt punitive when you guys agreed to the bad idea. But mechanically, just leading off, this is our last session, and it's all on the line. You're 1 party harm away. Could have definitely added some good grist for the mill. That's a
and
really,
it either would have made everything going forward a lot more tense of like, oh, we've only got one party harm left, we can't let that happen, or it would have forced us to heal up and have some of that other engage with some of the other mechanics.
That's really good. Cool. Let's transition then to stars. Steven, you were last with wishes. You get to go first with stars. Do you have any stars to hand out?
I'm going to say the obvious one. I loved seeing the showstopper move come into play. That was fantastic. And, it was a shock to me as a player. And I'm like, oh, I have to go back and read mine and everybody else's. And, where could this fit in? That was great. I really enjoyed that. And again, this session was great. I really enjoyed, the pulpiness feel of everything. It felt really good. Everybody kind of leaned into, like, Cody, your description of the door opening was fantastic. The opportunity to, salvage some equipment and then everybody used it later, to get them that +1, that all felt really good. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Steven. Sam, any stars you want to hand out?
Yeah, I also wanted to give Con a star for the door opening. That was very, very cool. I mentioned it while you were off screen, but it reminded me very much of the dragon dance in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they're stepping on the pressure plates. That was very, very. I had a lot of fun with that. And I really enjoyed all the stuff that Rich you threw at us in the temple. It felt very Indiana Jones. It felt very the snake coming to life was very Temple of Doom, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. So thanks for that. And I loved Jill's just like cool, we're gonna get through this, don't worry, and kind of just walking through everything like there wasn't a care in the world, even though we got that little sneak peek of like, yes, actually Jill's is scared and not and nervous. That was a great little bit of characterization. I love that.
Fantastic. Cody, bring us home.
Yeah, a big old star to Sam for pulling out the showstopper move. I think those showstopper moves are really cool, that you get, one thing you get to rewrite however you want. I thought it's just a really cool move, and when you used it was great. Steven, Steven and Sam both, actually, you guys did a lot to help set us up for success for later moves, and I really think that was just solid collaborative play. I really appreciated that. And Rich, I want to give you a big star because I think this system is a good fit for Star Wars. And like I said, I really like A Long Journey. I think adding that into this fit really well with that idea of, when we watch Indiana Jones, there's the transition scene of just travel, and the transition scenes that are available to us should have a travel one. That should be one that's in there, because if it's a pulpy adventure, you travel the globe. That's what you do. So I just wanted to give you a big star for seeing where you could add something really cool to the game.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cody.
Can
Sam?
I sneak in one more that Cody, sure. Cody, you reminded me. Steven's idea to do like not a group action as a bunch of helping roles was very good, and very it was perfect for that climax of trying to get out of the temple. Thanks.
Yes.
It was. And that gave me a minute for my brain to catch up. There was one other star I wanted to give you, Rich, again, which was grabbing images of the temple. I feel like that's from like Age of Conan or something. It looked like it was like a dungeon from an MMO, but that was a cool way to have us explore a temple. I know we play indie games, it's more like theater of the mind and stuff like that, but having images of like, here's the entrance, here's the next room, it's like it gave us a fun way to interact and play in that space, which to do that without imagery, you need to be really descriptive and really lean on certain things. And well, it can also just be really difficult, to do that. So having just straight up pictures of here's a temple, it was like, this is really cool.
Awesome.
I really like that.
Yeah, I'll second that. That was fantastic, because then you could, number one, you could say, okay, the bad guy is this snake that appears over here in this picture, and we could riff off of it and say, okay, we're going out through this top structure, and yeah, the pictures were really nice.
Thanks Thanks. I'm glad. I've been sitting on those picks like since like the first time. I'm like, oh god, yes, as soon as you guys did the adventure data pad of you want to go for an idol, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna look for a thing, and I found this cool temple, and so I'm very happy it paid off. Well, this was great. I really enjoyed making this movie with you guys and Greg as well. Thank you all for playing, and we'll just bring this thing to a close. Successful movie. Cut and print. See you guys.
Thanks.